In this video, I want to talk about an announcement from the IRS. It's Announcement 2020-12. It deals with information reporting on the debt forgiveness on the PPP. In a prior video, we talked about if the debt is forgiven, then it's not reportable as income. So the key to this video is, number one, if you have the Paycheck Protection Program debt forgiven, it is not income. What this announcement says is the lender, the bank or whatever you went to apply, should not issue an information return. Because what the law actually says, if there's a debt forgiven over $600, then the lender is to issue a 1099-C cancellation of debt. That cancellation of debt, unless you're insolvent, is generally taxable. So to repeat that is that the purpose of this announcement is to say they explicitly came out and said, we do not want the lending institution that made the loan on the Paycheck Protection Program that then, because of the small business having the debt forgiven, we don't want them to issue this 1099-C cancellation of debt. And part of the reason for that is if the lending institution issued you a 1099 on the debt forgiveness, then that would go into the IRS normal processing, and they would start issuing notices to you and I that had this PPP loan that was forgiven. So the important thing is that we're not have to worry about the IRS sending us a notice saying, well, your debt was forgiven, and oh, well, the bank's the one that issued, or the savings and loan, or whatever the financial institution was that did it. That's the good news. It also validates that the loan proceeds forgiven is not income. But at that point in time, what we still cannot lose sight of is we did a prior video, you should see at the bottom of the screen here, and it was on the notice 2020-32, and it had to do with the expenses related to tax. Actually, they call it tax-free income, or the expenses related to it. So let me back up for just a second. If you have income that is not taxable, in this case, debt forgiven, the law itself said it's not income. Then when you spend that money on payroll, you spend that money on mortgage interest, you spend that money on rent, you spend that money on utility, on all the qualified expenses that qualified you for the debt forgiveness, this notice, and I'm going back to a prior video again, on notice 2020-32, in that notice, and that was a few months ago, said the related expenses, those expenses you use to get this debt forgiven, is probably a better way to say it, is that you can't take that deduction. So this announcement validated the income from the PPP is not taxable. Or another way to say it, that loan proceeds that was forgiven is not taxable. But how you spend it on payroll, utilities, interest, rent, those expenditures that you use to get it forgiven is not deductible. So again, good news. It validates what we've said in prior presentations. But more importantly, at the end of the year, you as a small business, I as a small business, we're not going to be getting a 1099-C cancellation of debt. If there's a change in this, then this won't change. But if there's a change in the deductibility of any expenses, we'll be sure and update you on that. So if you would please subscribe to this for further updates. Like this so it's shared more. And there's a little bell if you want further updates, because we're probably going to see some action from Congress here in the next few days on the PPP. There is currently in legislation, it has not passed, that any debt forgiveness under $150,000, we won't even have to apply for the forgiveness. In conclusion, you're not going to get a 1099-C at the end of the year. Hope this helps. Thank you. Stay tuned and see you in the next video.